Hey everyone, I have something a little different today. I am doing some sketching in my this is a Stillman and Birn beta series soft cover landscape sketchbook, and I bought it with the intention of taking it with me when I go places, which just doesn't happen very often. But I thought I would kind of break it out and try it at home, and this is actually the third sketch that I'm doing. And you can see the reference photo that I'm using. I got it from Pixabay, and they have tons of gorgeous royalty-free for commercial use photos. So I picked this one. This is actually a monastery in France that I visited a few years ago, and the lavender wasn't yet in full bloom. That was one of my dreams, but we couldn't go when it was, the exact lavender bloom. So we were just a touch bit earlier. The flowers were already there, but they weren't in this brilliant purple magical state that I wanted. One day I'll make it back there. So we were in that place. I actually have photos from there. I think I scrapbooked them, but I just felt like painting it, and I enhanced the photo a little bit in Photoshop because I just wanted the colors a bit brighter. I wanted the more contrast and more saturation. And, that's one of the things that I am working on, just to feel free to adjust things to the way I like them. And I want to paint things that I am passionate about in colors that I love. And for me, for example, to take photos from the region where I live in, it's very beautiful. It's all, lush green forests and hills and all that, but it's just not the type of thing that I'm really passionate about drawing. What can I say? Those just green and more green, it doesn't make me want to open my watercolors and start painting, and this did. So I decided there is nothing wrong with picking photos of other places that just inspire me more. So let me talk to you about the colors I'm using. For the sky, I used 3 blues, and they are all by Schmincke. So I used the Delft blue, I think is what they call their Indanth blue. That's the deepest one. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. I used the Helio turquoise, which is a single pigment turquoise that is more on the blue side, and it is just gorgeous. And I used the Schmincke version of cobalt turquoise or cobalt teal made from PG50. I can't remember the German name for it, how Schmincke called it, which is, again, one of my favorites. It's more opaque, so, use it kind of lightly if you want to keep the transparency. And I just built the sky. This is my first layer. I will go back and add another layer once this is all dry. For the lavender fields, I used, again, some of my favorite colors. For the purple, I decided to go with the Schmincke Brilliant Red Violet, which I just adore that color. And then I also added some Sennelier Indian yellow. That's that bright yellow. And when those two mix, they create these really, you'd think yellow and purple make mud, but because these colors are so vibrant, and if you don't work at them, if you just let them flow into each other, you get these really beautiful earthy orange tones that are not muted at all. So I know that with a brilliant red violet, I know that it makes beautiful mixes with orangey yellows. I really love that combination. You know, they really make each other pop because they're still very far from each other on the color wheel, but they don't really make mud. And I also dropped in a bit of green there. There's the Schmincke's version of green gold or yellow green. I can't remember how they call it. I will try to remember to just put a list of all these colors for your convenience. And this is my own custom-made palette. And yeah, I also dropped just a little bit of the colors I used in the sky in the fields, kind of to bring that together. You don't want, you know, one area of the painting to be completely disconnected from the other color-wise. And also mixed some greens from those turquoise. I only have one. I have two very weird greens in my palette. One is the green gold, it's not so weird, and the other one is the Sennelier emerald, which I love, but I didn't use in this painting. So I'm not a huge green fan, and just mixing them when I need them. You know, I have my blues, I have a yellow, I can mix my own greens, and that's what I did here. For the monastery, I mixed some Naples yellow, that is the Schmincke one, and it is just the most buttery, beautiful Naples yellow in my collection. And I mixed it with a touch of an opera pink that is not called opera pink because that's actually the Jane Davenport one. So she has kind of unique names for all her colors, but it's one of those fluorescent pinks. I don't like to use it on its own, but it's great for mixing. And I added a little bit of it to the Naples yellow, and that gave me this really kind of pastel type of pink that you can see. And to that I added some neutral tint, also from Schmincke. Now I am really coveting the M-Gram neutral tint, which doesn't have black in it. It's actually a mixture of two pigments that I could probably find in my stash, but I'm really curious about that paint. I have the Schmincke one and I love it, but it does have black in it. So yeah, I added that just for the shadows in the monastery. Now I want to say that I keep this very, very loose. I don't have a lot of experience in this type of sketching, but you know, I love my watercolors and I use them extensively, so I kind of have a good feel of how they look and move and work. And you can see I'm not keeping this realistic in any way. This is just a very impressionist version, I would say. I'm kind of keeping the details that I like, and because it's a small scale, I don't really have to go into much detail, which works well for me. I don't really enjoy doing like very, very detailed work. It's just, I really like to be done with a project in a reasonable time, which for me means, you know, an hour to two altogether. And this project took me altogether about 20 minutes. That's the nice thing about working in a small scale. I didn't in a smaller scale. I usually work in A4 size journals. I didn't think I would enjoy it, but I really, really am enjoying this size. So my first layer was dry, and now I'm just adding another layer, adding some shadows in the corners. You see this picture has a vignette, so the edges of the photo are darker than the middle. So I'm adding that. It adds kind of definition and, you know, makes the photo interesting. I sometimes add it also to my photos when I'm editing them on Photoshop. Not a lot, but sometimes. Now I'm going back to the sky and adding just another layer of blues, and yeah, I will just add a few more details to every area in this photo. All in all, I had so much fun making it. I love how it looks, and I'm really positive that it's not because I'm such an amazing sketcher. It's because I chose colors that I really love, and I can't stress this enough. If you feel like you're making things that you're not so crazy about, try to think really hard if you are maybe a bit too, if you're limiting yourself to realistic colors. If you're anything like me, I just find joy in these super bright colors. I can appreciate other people's work, but when it comes to mine, it just makes me happy to use these bright, bright colors. And, the turquoises, the purples, the pinks, those just make it just, they make me happy. What can I say? Can't use other words for this. So, yeah, and I also really enjoyed working with my custom palette. I didn't find it limiting at all. Maybe it has to do with the fact that I chose a subject that has my favorite colors in it, which are also in my palette. For my palette, for example, has one blue in it, and that's, oh no, I think maybe I added another blue to it. So I don't have like a ton of blue shades that I can choose from. I have one red that I recently added, so I'm really trying to keep it to the colors I love. Here are some close-up shots of my finished page. I'm not going to go back in and add more detail. I'm happy with the way it is. I hope you enjoyed this. I wish you a lovely day. Thanks for watching. Bye.